Ow! 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 Ah!
A few moments later.
In the early hours of the day, Mr. Bill Smith's body was found by Mr. Skinner in the staircase of the G-Wing. He appeared to have been stabbed in the back and bitten on the right hand. His body was found with a water bottle, 2 canisters of an unknown substance, a trail of blood about 1 meter long leading out to his right, and satellite spatter was also present facing downwards towards his feet. The book Body Brokers was also found with his body, ironically enough. Also present was a scale and bloatflies, indicating that this was a fresh corpse. According to Mr. Skinner, the body had been liver mortis and no maggots were present, putting the time of death somewhere between 2 to 4 a.m. Since we had very little evidence to go off of, and because most of the teachers in the G and J wings were quite off-put by Mr. Smith's death, we felt that interviews wouldn't help much, although we were wrong. Taking fingerprints would also prove to be a shot in the dark, as most of the items present on and around the body had already been touched by numerous people. This reduced our usable evidence to the bite mark and the DNA from saliva on the water bottle due to their highly individual nature. The blood was also used to narrow the range of the search. Because of the erratic behavior of teachers, we tried to gather DNA evidence and bite mark samples from every teacher who was interviewed by the first responders. This led us to our first suspects. We, at first, suspected Miss Islander of having killed Mr. Smith due to reluctance to state her time of arrival. However, her blood type and DNA mismatch had led us to the conclusion that she was innocent. Her bite mark went unchecked. After that, the blame went to Mr. Skinner due to the way he carried himself quite nervously through our interview with him. Blood type was a match, but DNA and bite mark excluded him. We then reached out to Dr. Gatos, who was extremely reluctant to be interviewed, but was still innocent as his blood type, DNA, and bite mark were mismatches. This led us to our final suspect, and the killer, Mr. Sierra. We'd been suspicious of him since he was interviewed, as he said he was very close to Mr. Smith around the time of the murder, whereas other teachers were only in touch for professional reasons. Mr. Sierra's DNA and bite mark were a match, although his blood remained untested. We used this highly individualized evidence for a search warrant of his classroom, where no sharp objects were found and the book was not missing, but more of the same Kirkland brand water bottles were found. He had done quite a good job of disposing of the murder weapon from the looks of it.
I thought I had it all together, but I was led astray. The day you walked away, you were the clock that was ticking in my home. Changed my state of mind.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Love so hard to find.
we got him.